Coming up on the Blerd Breakdown, it is election day, so we gotta talk about the last stops of both Harris and Trump. Legendary producer Quincy Jones has died at the age of 91. Tom Hanks gives an interesting take on the evolution of superhero movies. A surprising She-Hulk character almost made it into Agatha's Coven and Agatha all along. We've got a Diddy or didn't he update, and we've got a sports update with Dak Prescott injured for weeks, Poppovich out indefinitely, and Saquon Barkley taking up a part-time hobby in parkour. All that and more coming up on today's episode of the Blerd Breakdown. Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? I'm Winston Marshall, aka the Swaggy Blerd, and this is the Blerd Breakdown, the pop culture show for when you need to know. See what had happened was. If this is your first time here, please be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when I'm dropping new content, and definitely throw a thumbs up on this video and get in the comment section, man. Let me know what you think about all these stories that are going on. Again, as I mentioned before, it is election day. As you noted, I have done my civic duty. If you haven't yourself and you're watching this in America, please be sure to go down to your local polling place and make sure to vote. Obviously, you would have needed to have registered by now. Hopefully, you've done that. In some states, it is possible to register same day, but for the most part, we are kind of set. So make sure you go and get that taken care of. With that being said, again, I have touched on a few political things here and there. I haven't made that a major focal point of the show per se. I talk about it in so many other avenues, but I do want to open this story with the final moments of each campaign. So instead of repeating things that way more articulate, more intelligent people have said over the months, let alone some of the arguments that I've made one way or the other, I just wanted to play a couple videos of the last few things that each of the candidates decided to do. I'm going to start off first with Trump's last rally in Pennsylvania. This was on Sunday afternoon.
And I have this piece of glass here, but all we have really over here is the fake news, right? And to get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news. And I don't mind that so much, because I don't mind that.
And now for contrast, I'll play Kamala's surprise visit to 30 Rockefeller Plaza this past Saturday.
I wish I could talk to someone who's been in my shoes, you know? It is nice to see you, Kamala.
It is nice to see you, Kamala, and I'm just here to remind you, you got this. I don't really laugh like that, do I?
A little bit. American people want to stop the chaos.
And end the dramala.
Back in our pajamas and watch a rom-Kamala.
Like Legally Blondula.
And start decorating for Christmas. Fa la 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 la. What do we always say? Keep Kamala and carry on a la.
Now, there were talks about FCC equal time regulations for that cameo on SNL, but NBC did give Trump 90 seconds of uninterrupted time to directly address voters, and he gave a statement during NASCAR's post-race show. Essentially, both candidates got to speak to the audience that best represent their base. So here's my thing, man. Anybody that knows me knows where I lean politically. I've never hidden that one way or the other. I've made it clear that I'm voting for Harris. It is what it is. I have no love lost for the orange fuck muppet. Again, go watch Blerds in the Hood. I have always been very frank about that. But the reason I specifically wanted to show these two, do you notice kind of the difference of how each of them have approached this situation? Kamala has really focused on genuinely trying to unite people to make things better, to calm the storm. Trump's okay being like, hey, yo, they got to kill a few journalists. I'm okay with it. And then, in order to get to me, they'd have to shoot some of the fake news. That to me has always been what this is about. Whether or not you believe in liberal or conservative policies, I can't have somebody, or I can't support somebody that thinks it's okay to mock people, to, talk about situations of, some people got shot, it is what it is. And people always want to defend it and be like, oh, the left is always, knocking up all this rhetoric. But then at the same time be like, but you guys need to but like, because you'll have this whole situation of like, oh, the left is always the one that's dusting up all this hateful rhetoric, and yet jokes are made about Nancy Pelosi's husband getting, almost killed, or it's okay to shoot journalists type bullshit. Like, this has been the pattern of what's been going on. So, like, I have always leaned more to the left, but I have understood and given some credence to conservative politicians in the past that at least were couth enough to, like, be a normal human and to not down talk people and to incite violence and things like that. So, for me, again, already voted. I'm supporting Harris, things like that. You got to do what you got to do one way or the other, but I will say this much as far as it goes, man. I know people are tired of having to choose between two options that they don't like. I know people are tired of this idea of saving democracy in the most important election of our lifetime, but this door was open back in 2015 and has been going since, and he's made it clear, win or lose, he said that this, whether we believe him or not, this is the last election he's going to run. So however this goes one way or the other, this is it. So I implore all of you to do your civic duty and go vote. I obviously have a side I'm pulling for here, but, I just, the one thing that I don't really love is I hear a number of people saying they're just not gonna, or they're just gonna throw their vote away or whatever it is. And what's bullshit about that is knowing, especially as like a black man in this country, knowing what wars had to be fought, whether they be like civil rights movement type like battles or anything else like that, what it took for us to have that opportunity to do so. There's no such thing as throwing it away, let alone, I'm going to say this up top to anybody that's not really processing this, your local and state elections, your down ballot elections are equally as important as what happens with presidents. So let's say Harris wins. If she loses the House and she loses the Senate, she's not going to be able to get much shit done. She won't. She straight up will not. Same thing for Trump. If Trump wins, but then the Democrats pull off a sweep on those, he's not going to be able to do a lot of shit. You could do executive order things, but to really get shit done, it's going to be very hard, if not impossible, to do so. So this idea that voting doesn't matter is BS, because you can also take into consideration for your state and your city and your county and all that, all sorts of propositions. There's a very important proposition here in California about rent control that is being pushed by a lot of corporations and landlords to essentially make it that they cannot have more rent control be put in. It's only for buildings of 1976 and later. And in doing so, prices out here in LA for apartments and single family homes have skyrocketed. This is Proposition 23. Voting yes on this gives the opportunity for more rent control to be put into place so that these prices can't continue to skyrocket out of control. So don't ever listen to somebody that says that voting is pointless. I can understand what you're saying about the iron grip that these super PACs and these corporations have on a lot of these politicians on a more national level and maybe across the board. But to that point, there are people in all different positions that help make things happen, let alone, again, these propositions and all sorts of stuff that get put on there as well. It is important that you do it. So please, if you're registered to vote, go out and get it done. All right, man. With that, I hate to go from one serious story to the next, but we do have to talk about the death of a legend. Legendary producer Quincy Jones has died at the age of 91. Quincy Jones, best known as the architect of Michael Jackson's Thriller and the man who made stars collide in 1985's We Are the World, had a long career as a composer and trumpeter who broke down racial boundaries in music and film. He died on Sunday in his Bel Air home, his publicist said, at 91. Jones won an astonishing 28 Grammys throughout his career as an arranger and producer, and his legacy intersected with those of Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington, and Leslie Gore. When dreams of scoring films lured Jones to Hollywood in 1965, executives were shocked to learn he was black after they hired him for the Gregory Peck film Mirage. He soon racked up 2 Oscar nominations, Best Original Score for The Love of Ivy and Best Original Score for the film In Cold Blood in 1968, and became the first black musical director at the Academy Awards in 1971. He would executive produce the show in 1996. Jones suffered from multiple health problems. He had 2 nearly fatal brain aneurysms in 1974. The resulting metal plate in his head ensured that he would never play trumpet again. Yet he continued making music, scoring The Bill Cosby Show, Sanford and Son, and the 1977 miniseries Roots, for which he won an Emmy. Then, while scoring the film The Wiz, Jones met Michael Jackson. He produced Jackson's Off the Wall album in 1979, ascending to music royalty alongside the King of Pop in a partnership that has also generated mega sellers Thriller and Bad. And in 1985, the pair collaborated on the star-studded charity song We Are the World, which won 3 Grammys. He co-produced The Color Purple and helped introduce Oprah Winfrey to a national audience. He also produced the Broadway version. And in 2013, Oprah inducted Jones into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. His name appears as a producer, composer, conductor, arranger, or performer on more than 400 albums. He composed roughly 35 film scores. He leaves behind 7 children: Jolie Jones Levine with former wife actress Jerry Caldwell, Martina Jones and Quincy Jones III with second wife and model Una Anderson, Kidada Jones and the Office actress Rashida Jones with third wife and Mod Squad actress Peggy Lipton, Rachel Jones with Carol Reynolds, and Kenya Julia Miambi Sarah Jones with actress Natasha Kinski. Excuse me if I messed that up. All right. I mean, look. You heard all the stuff. It didn't even cover everything. I mean, probably the thing that I feel that I'm most influenced by Quincy Jones by far has to be The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, who is the executive producer on that show and helped Will get that show and is one of the most iconic sitcoms ever. Quincy was genuinely a legend. There's a few places where people say that there could be some controversy here and there. A lot of people feel like, he was one of the black folk coming up in that era that at times abandoned the community because he was, with white women and stuff like that. But when you consider how pro-black he was about so many things and how much of an activist he was, I don't know if I agree with that sentiment, but everybody's going to feel differently one way or the other. He is an absolute legend. And, Jay and I used to play all the time on Blerd's, which we are having a Blerd's election special later today, so you can check that out at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. We're losing recipes, man. We're losing recipes. We keep losing these legends. James Earl Jones, Quincy Jones, we lost Tito. We've been losing so many people that helped shape black culture and what it is today. And not just black culture, but the industry. We've lost some sports legends. Like, it has been rough going. And so I say all that to say, A, hug your loved ones. Really let them know while you still have them here, because you never know how much time you have left. And B, let's not lose art. I get so worried now in the state of Hollywood, the state of music, whether because of streaming or whatever else, everything's becoming commodified more so than normal. And the idea of music, art, film, TV is really purely a commodity now. It's always been a business, but you're not getting to see as much of a quantity of high quality stuff. You'll get the one album, like what Tyler, the Creator, just dropped. Oh my God, fantastic. I don't rock with Chaperone, but the people that do love Chaperone, and that obviously speak outside of black folk at this point, but the people that rock with Chaperone, she's putting out good music to them, things like that. So there is some. I'm not going to say that it's not there, but when you think about how commodified everything's gotten and that we've shortened attention spans to not be able to sit through a solid 5-minute Key and Peele length sketch. It's all TikTok stuff that's 15 seconds or faster. Or the giant explosion superhero movies, which obviously I love, and I'm about to talk about 2 of them on this show. All of that is good, but when I get to this next story with Tom Hanks, and something that he kind of says, I'll reiterate on this. We have to make sure that we're not losing the art and the culture and the message that we're trying to get through music and TV and film, because that is how you end up in a situation where we're devoid of a soul. Art is how we maintain a soul, how we keep our empathy, how we connect with others. And Quincy did it, as you heard, with all of the things that he's a part of, let alone to know that then his legacy, all of his kids have done great stuff. But I immediately, the most famous of his children in Rashida and the work that she's put out with The Office and everything in Parks and Rec and everything else, that's the kind of stuff that just sticks in my head, man. So rest in peace to one of the great ones. Thank you for everything you contributed to the culture, to the world, because we are the world. But he was definitely a real one. Let me know what your favorite project of Quincy was down in the comments. Let's go to the next story. Tom Hanks gives a compelling critique of superhero movies. This is from Comic Book Movie and Josh Wilding. Superhero movies frequently receive hate from Hollywood veterans. Look no further than comments from the likes of Martin Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola for proof of that. Now, while the genre remains incredibly successful, it's been a trying few years. Marvel Studios delivered its first rotten movies and a few box office bombs. The less said about the DCEU's dying days, the better, and when it comes to Sony, well, Sony gonna Sony. Today, screen icon Tom Hanks has shared his take on the rise and recent struggles of comic book movies. The Toy Story and Forrest Gump star argues that the familiarity of these characters means they no longer make us feel the way they once did. As a result, audiences now demand more from the genre and want stronger stories to go with all the flashy action scenes. The thing is, it's actually meeting up right with the state of the art. Never mind the commerce, the state of the industry right now. The great thing that happened was, remembering in the 1970s and 80s, they tried to do TV versions of Captain America and Spider-Man and even Batman, the Adam West Batman. The technology did not exist to make it look like it did in the comic books. And now it does. You can do anything at all. You could probably say that Christopher Reeve Superman was the first one that came close because the cutting edge of the technology right there allowed for wire removal. You will believe a man can fly, and you know what? We all did when we saw. It was quite extraordinary. I think we are now enjoying the luxury of riches because you can make anything happen on screen. We're being brought back to the concept. Okay, that's true, but what is a story? Without a doubt, I've used this analogy before, so I apologize. You can drain Lake Michigan and fill it with cuckoo clocks and form a three-headed dragon that breathes fire and destroys the city of Chicago. You can do that, but to what purpose is it at the end of the day? What's the story, and what's it going to say about us? I think there was a period of time, and I felt that way too, where we would see these fantastic movies, either DC or MCU, in order to see these better versions of ourselves. God, I feel like an X-Man sometimes. I'm so confused as Spider-Man. I'm as angry as Batman is, and I love my country as much as Captain America. I would love to emulate all those guys. I think we've been down that road and had probably 20 years, 15 years to explore that kind of thing. And now I think we're in an evolutionary place of, and the story is what? And the theme is what? And the point of this movie is what? That's a good challenge for any filmmaker. It might just not land in the roadhouse for the industry. The industry often says, well, this works and it will work again. The audience is far ahead of it. They see the familiar and say, I've already seen that. What's next? It's not just eye-popping stuff. It's what's the story? Tell me about myself. We're in new territory. It's hard to argue with this assessment, and that new territory is something we're seeing Marvel Studios attempt to explore with the likes of Fantastic Four: First Steps and Agatha All Along. Venom, for example, was a hit in 2018 because it delivered something new, a madcap buddy comedy with Tom Hardy getting used to sharing his body with an alien. 2 movies later, interest in the franchise has dipped because fans and moviegoers alike want more. Hanks was also asked whether he met with Kevin Feige or James Gunn. No, I think it's because I'm not in their wheelhouse. I'm not against it, I guess, but at the same time, I will tell you this right now. My combo plate is quite full. I've got a lot of stuff I'm dreaming of and trying to make happen. Okay. Look, again, kind of what I was alluding at in the last segment about Quincy and this idea that art being too commodified, like you said, oh, the industry goes, this works, it'll work again, keep doing that. If your music doesn't evolve, if your movies don't evolve, if your TV doesn't evolve, if it doesn't grow, there's no reason for us to keep coming back, because I've already seen you do perfectly this thing. I'll go rewatch that thing that I know already works and I have fun with. But if you are not pushing me forward, the whole idea, if you are standing still, you are actually moving backwards. And that's the thing. You cannot give the same formulaic thing over and over and over again. You have to elevate. So like the reason Abbott works, even though it takes a similar formula of The Office with the idea of the mockumentary, it's because you put it in a new scenario and you gave us new stories, not just new characters, but new stories that genuinely work and that people want to explore. So the idea of still, like, the romance isn't going to go away because it's a different couple and how they interact with each other, but the idea of how teachers have to deal with everything from, like, that desking episode, so kids getting out of control, to outbreaks like ringworms, to, chaperoning dances, to, like, the dare situation. That's all unique to that scenario. That's a new story and a new way to explore controversy and things like that, versus the flip side, where you look at, The Office. The Office worked because it was like, oh, there's the drama between people having affairs, or the holiday party, or diversity training, or mergers. We're exploring all those different stories with those characters. I don't necessarily know if I feel the idea of an Office reboot, because I'm like, well, you're going to redo all of this stuff, and with people that probably they're going to do their best, and I'm not going to take anything away from them. Maybe they're better, but odds are they're not going to hit the same way that it happened the first time. You cannot give the same, if you want to have a base foundation, that is okay. So to say we're taking a mockumentary style, to say we're taking a superhero style, to say we're taking a noir style, whatever, that's all well and good. But you have to take that as your starting point, your foundation. You need to make something new. If we just had a whole bunch of the same Mona Lisas over and over again, nobody would give a shit about paintings because we've seen it before. That's how humans work. We're into something new. If you keep giving us the exact same thing, then we're kind of be off it. And that really is where a lot of the movie industry and the music industry is today, is we have to find a way to continue to evolve. But with that being said, what do you think with Tom Hanks' comments? Would you like to see him in a superhero film, MCU or DCU or anything like that? Let me know. But let me know what you think in the comments, and let's go to our next story. Now, there was a surprising She-Hulk character that almost made it into Agatha's Coven and Agatha All Along. This is Mark Cassidy from Comic Book Movie. Agatha All Along wrapped up its first and likely only season this week. And showrunner Jack Schaefer has been sharing some interesting details about certain things that didn't make the cut. During an in-depth chat with the Ringerverse, Schaefer revealed that she originally wanted to bring back a surprising character from She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, to be a part of Agatha's makeshift coven. We wanted to get Madisynn on the witch's road, and it just didn't work. It was shoehorning. As divisive as She-Hulk proved to be, most would likely agree that the episode featuring the debut of Madisynn, 2 N's and 1 Y, but not where you think it is. The debut of Madisynn King was a lot of fun. Actress Patty Guggenheim's party girl became swept up in Jennifer Walters' affairs following her encounter with former Carmitage student turned magician Donnie Blaze. After being called as a witness, she strikes up a friendship with Benedict Wong, before returning in the episode's hilarious post-credit scene armed with cocktails and Soprano spoilers. Madisynn quickly became a fan favorite, and viewers began to ship her and the Sorcerer Supreme, Mad Wong, in the hopes that they might appear together again in the MCU down the line. While that's yet to happen, Maddie did recently make her Marvel Comics debut in What If, Venom issue number 3, and it looks like her relationship with Wongers is still going strong. Look, man, I would have loved it if that had happened. Now, I think it was perfect to put Mrs. Hart. I think that was a perfect callback to WandaVision, but that genuinely would have been very funny. And knowing the fate of the people in the Coven, I'm going to not say more than that. I think it's probably better that you didn't do that, but it would have been a lot of fun to have Madisynn be in that Coven, honestly. Or even a situation where, like, you don't even get her fully in the Coven, but maybe Agatha's looking around for somebody, and she starts to see her, she goes, not her. Like, something like that would have been absolutely hilarious, man. But I would have loved to have seen that. But yeah, that's a quick story. Let me know what you think, if you would have liked Madisynn to have been in Agatha's Coven. And let's go ahead and jump to our next one. All right, y'all, it's time for another segment of Diddy or Didn't He. This is the segment where we cover all of the stuff that's been going on with Diddy's various lawsuits and criminal cases. And in this one, Diddy is actually seeking a gag order after a new witness claims he has the rapper's sex tapes involving 8 A-listers. This is from Yahoo News. Sean Diddy Combs has filed a motion in court requesting a gag order to silence a grand jury witness accused of making false claims against him. Courtney Burgess, who claims he has sex tapes from Diddy's parties, as well as the real Kim Porter's memoir, has been going around giving interviews which doesn't sit right with the rapper. The man revealed that a federal grand jury subpoenaed him to turn in every piece of evidence in his possession as investigations into Sean Diddy Combs' alleged sex crimes continue. Diddy's lawyers have moved to secure a gag order that will restrict statements made by potential witnesses and their lawyers outside of court, particularly for Burgess, who has given multiple interviews in recent days. According to TMZ, the document, filed on Sunday, seeks to expedite the process of responding to Diddy's motion for a gag order because Burgess's alleged false statements pose a significant threat to an embattled rapper's reputation and right to a fair trial as claimed by his lawyers. These lawyers say the government is helping stoke online conspiracy theories by not treating Burgess's claim as an extortion scam. They cited a particular news outlet's article that erroneously stated freak-offs involve men and parties, but argued that the alleged freak-offs never involves men, minors, or parties. Burgess has been making headlines recently claiming he is or has seen disturbing videos of the Bad Boy for Life rapper victimizing at least 8 of his celebrity friends, which Diddy's lawyers said were untrue and defamatory. On Thursday, Burgess and his lawyer, Ariel Mitchell, appeared before a federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan to testify for a grand jury. He had earlier revealed that a grand jury had subpoenaed him after claiming he had sex tapes from Diddy's parties and the real memoir of Kim Porter, Diddy's late ex-girlfriend and mother of 4 of his kids. Burgess claims the videos came from a flash drive owned by Diddy's ex, the late Kim Porter, who reportedly obtained the footage from hidden cameras in the rapper's home. Sources with direct knowledge told TMZ that the subpoena from federal prosecutors asked Burgess to turn over all records, including thumb drives, hard drives, electronic storage devices, or devices containing videos and or other files depicting Diddy. It remains unknown if he indeed turned the alleged videos over or simply told the jury about them. In a previous edition of News Nation's Banfield, Burgess claimed the videos show at least 2 male stars who were underage at the time, adding that all of the stars featured appeared to be under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Burgess said he was friends with Diddy for over 35 years and loved him like a brother, but now sees him as the devil. At the time, I guess he was ambitious. Then from ambitious, he went to doing anything. Then he went from doing anything to didn't care about nobody who he could beat, Burgess explained. And then he ended up turning into Lucifer. And today I'm looking at him. I know all of you call him Diddy or Puffy. I call him Lucifer. Diddy is currently locked up behind bars at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn as he faces charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Prior to the witnesses' claims about seeing Diddy's sex tapes, a male celebrity who allegedly appeared in one of the tapes was said to be horrified that his identity would be revealed in the footage if the footage was released. Page Six reported that the individual sees the situation as a total nightmare that disrupted his life. It feels like a betrayal and a violation, and it causes a lot of issues, said an insider about the situation, adding that it brings up some really disturbing and bad memories for the individual. They continued, he feels like he was victimized years ago and is now being victimized yet again. This footage gets out, it will follow him for life. It will be on the internet forever. Another source noted that the male star is aware that there is not much he can do to influence the situation, and he only hopes that it all goes away with time. Diddy has maintained that he is innocent of all charges that have been levied against him since September 16th arrest by Homeland Security agents at a New York City hotel. He was denied bail several times in order to stay in a Brooklyn jail while awaiting his trial set for May 5th of 2025. Okay, I said this before, I'll say it again. You know, the reason why I keep doing this segment is because what Diddy is accused of is absolutely disgusting. It goes so far and so deep. No Diddy, Jesus Christ. Fuck. But at the same time, obviously we what I do hope that people are very careful of, do it through the courts. Do it through the civil cases. Do it through the criminal cases. Do not go out and give all of these kind of situations where you do end up poisoning the well and this man finds a way to essentially escape conviction because of technicalities, because of the poisoning of the well of juries and things like that, and him not being able to get a fair jury for these cases. If he did what he did, turn the evidence in, let things play out, because then it'll go the way it's supposed to go, but do not give him an out. That's one of the reasons why Bill Cosby is no longer in jail. Not because he didn't do those crimes, but because you had an overzealous prosecution that cut too many corners in situations like that he ended up being, his sentence being reversed and he was let go. That is not what we want to see happen, considering how deep this rabbit hole goes with the bullshit that Diddy's been pulling, man. So, as far as the individual that was victimized before and is worried about getting victimized again, if it is one of those situations where they were like drugged and kind of coerced into this whole situation and whatnot, for their sake, I genuinely hope that this is kept under wraps and that they're fine. But if it's a scenario where this person is actually guilty of partaking in it of their own free will, and then they're more just scared of their name getting dragged through the mud, the truth is going to come out one way or the other. So I just say all that to say that, like, keep an eye on all of this stuff. I will continue to report on it because the last thing we want is for it to get buried, and we just need to understand with what we're dealing with here with Diddy. But again, I really implore anybody that actually knows stuff, save it for the filings, save it for court, and then we will, let's go with just the, allegedly did this and this is a scenario. We don't need to be going off. And then I saw the video where he was doing X, Y, and Z with the baby oil. Please don't mess this up where, this monster walks away, alleged monster walks away. You know what I'm saying? Like, let this play out how it's supposed to play out. But let me know what you think in the comments. Let's go to our last story. We're going to talk about some sports, man. All right, so a lot of stuff has popped off over the weekend and over the last day or so. Everything from the Spurs head coach, Greg Poppovich, is out indefinitely with an illness. Dak Prescott is going to be injured for a few weeks. Saquon Barkley with an insane hurdle. But we got to start off with the firing of the New York Saints head coach, Dennis Allen. After losing their 7th straight game on Sunday, the team announced they let the head coach go. Special teams coordinator Darren Rizza has been named the interim coach. The Saints won their first 2 games this season, but haven't won since, with their latest loss coming to the Carolina Panthers in the 23-22 defeat. This is the first midseason firing for the Saints since the late Tom Benson purchased the team in 1985. The last in-season firing occurred when Dick Nolan was fired after an 0-12 start to his 3rd season in 1980. Allen, who replaced Sean Payton as the coach in 2022, went 18-25 as the team's coach. This is the first time since 1999 the Saints have lost 7 straight games. Allen went 8-28 as the coach of the Raiders and was fired after an 0-4 start to his 3rd season with the franchise in 2014. The Saints have struggled on both sides of the ball. The offense scored 11 offensive touchdowns in the first 2 weeks of the season, but has scored just 11 offensive touchdowns since, according to ESPN research. The defense is ranked 28th in the NFL in allowing 28.6 points per game, and ranks last in the NFL in yards per play, 6.4, yards per rush, 5.5, and yards per game, 406, according to ESPN research. All right, before I get to the next one, there's also been some breaking news that Marshawn Lattimore at the trade deadline has been moved to the Washington Commanders. This is the star 28-year-old corner for the Saints, who has been an absolute monster and has been one of the few people to keep Mike Evans in check in that division, the NFC South. So, Lattimore's coming off of a hamstring injury, but adds so much to Washington as well and makes them an even bigger threat, provided they continue the path that they're on right now. So Dennis Allen had to go, man. How you going to be trash in Vegas/Oakland with Derek Carr and then go bring Derek Carr down here to be trash again? I think he's one of those people that he's a good coordinator. I just don't think he's a good head coach. You lost the locker room a while ago. I talked about this on Game Time over on the Game Time Sports Network with Roka yesterday. But you lost that locker room a while ago, and you permanently lost them at the end of last season when Jameis helped one of the running backs score a touchdown so they could meet their roster bonus instead of doing the kneel down. I understand the idea. It should have been victory formation to go out, but you didn't need to throw him under the bus and throw the team under the bus. By you doing that, you've made it very clear it's me versus y'all, and that was it. So good riddance. All right. CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott were recently hurt. The Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott is expected to miss several weeks with a hamstring injury, a source told ESPN's Adam Schefter on Monday. Prescott is seeking a second opinion to confirm treatment options, the source told Schefter. Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, meanwhile, is dealing with a right AC joint issue with his shoulder and is set to undergo an MRI. Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones said Sunday that he is hopeful Lamb can continue to play because he was able to get through it this weekend. Prescott suffered his injury after a 5-yard scramble late in the 3rd quarter of Dallas's 27-21 loss to the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. On the next play, cameras caught him grimacing as he threw a wobbly 10-yard pass to Jalen Brooks on the wide side of the field. I felt it when I was getting up from the run, Prescott said Sunday. I can't even say that I felt it running. The tackle, maybe something on the tackle. Yeah, I don't know. But when I was standing up, I felt something actually. Didn't think it was much. You get tired. It's a physical game. A lot of times you feel different things and they just kind of go away. When he got to the top of his drop back, Prescott said he felt something I've never felt. Yeah, it was tough to walk on it at that point. Trey Lance is in line to be Cooper Rush's backup with Prescott sidelined. Prescott agreed to a 4-year, $240 million contract hours before the season opener that made him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Sunday's loss dropped the Cowboys to 3-5 on the season. All right. Also have some more breaking news because, again, it's trade deadline day. The Cowboys have actually traded for wide receiver Jonathan Mingo out of Carolina. They traded a 4th-round pick for him. Mingo was a 2nd-round pick in 2023 out of Mississippi. He's had 12 receptions and 121 yards this season. He's had 1 catch in the past 4 games and only 2 games in his career with more than 4 catches. Mingo was behind 2024 first-round pick Xavier Legette, undrafted rookie Jalen Cocker, and 2017 pick David Moore, despite the hamstring injury sustained by Adam Thielen and the trade of Deontay Johnson. Bro, the fuck that gonna do? Like, honestly, I have said this a million times. I am so fucking sick of Jerry Jones, bro. He gotta go. He has got to go. Like, you can keep the team, but you need to give up the goddamn GM thing. I know you're not gonna do it because you're a billionaire and you're old and your ego's in the fucking way, but like, what? As far as that goes, I've said this before and I'll say it again. You pushed him to do too much. He's throwing the ball on average 45 to 50 times a game because our run game is so boo-boo trash. So, like, of course he's going to make mistakes, and of course he's going to get injured because you're asking him to do all the fucking work instead of going and getting someone like a Derrick Henry when you had the goddamn option. I'm done ranting about this, but I just had to talk about it. Our next sports story, Greg Poppovich, man, has suffered a health issue before Saturday's game. An assistant, Mitch Johnson, is expected to be the interim head coach for an indefinite period of time, including Monday versus the Clippers and Wednesday in Houston. Sources told ESPN. This is a story from Saturday. Poppovich, 75, experienced a health situation before the Spurs win over the Minnesota Timberwolves on Saturday night. The team said Poppovich had an undisclosed illness. The Spurs said Monday that Poppovich did not travel with the team for games in Los Angeles and Houston. Mitch did a great job with the team, Spurs guard Chris Paul said after Saturday's win. I think our whole coaching staff did. Things happen within this league all the time, and just like with the players, it's next man. So shout out to Mitch. He did a great job tonight. Poppovich is the NBA's career leader with 1,390 victories and another 170 postseason wins while winning 5 NBA titles. He's in his 29th season, all with San Antonio. I did not know he was there that long. I just got to give love and healing energy, man, to Greg Poppovich. He's one of the great ones. He's both in how he handles himself on, not just the court, but like with his politics and everything else. He is so smart and he's so empathetic and things like that. So I really am hoping that he is going to be okay. So, even though as a Mavs fan, the Spurs are a big rival, just sending loving and healing energy to Greg Poppovich. And finally, if you didn't see it, man, you have got to check out this insane move from Saquon Barkley where he hit him with a spin move and then decided to take up parkour as a hobby. Check this out.
Out of moves right here. Makes the first guy miss. The spin move at the last second. Bro. And then, what, Tiki, you're right. Bro.
Man, you have people like LeBron out here, saying, Saquon, you're insane, putting that on his Instagram story and things like that. I can't believe, I thought that the Cowboys were the biggest loser. I think the Giants actually might be the biggest loser. How you let a generational talent like that go, knowing you also added Malik Neighbors, bro. Like oh my God, that team would be very different if you would have had both of them still there. Saquon clearly still has plenty in the tank. So does Derrick Henry, man. So, Jesus, that was dope. With that is going to be the Blerd Breakdown. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and throw a like on this video, man. If you enjoyed the content, please be sure to get in the comments and talk about any of the stories that were going on here. Obviously, anytime we talk about stuff politically, people want to run their mouth. We can talk about it. We can have a good discussion. But watch your mouth. All right, let's have a civil discussion in the comments. If I see something wild, I'll just delete it. So keep that in mind. Other than that, coming up later today, we've got a Blerds in the Hood election special. We're going to be covering everything, all the wildest stuff that's happened over this election season and try and keep, everybody calm since we're all going to be full of anxiety for the next few hours. So come and hang out with myself and Jay Washington as we keep y'all company throughout. That's going to be on our Twitch, twitch.tv/Blerds in the Hood. You'll see me on Capes and Cows on Friday with Christian and Coy. I'll have another Blerd Breakdown for you, provided America is still here in a couple days. And other than that, I did mention that I went to an Ultraman Rising, this awesome thing for it. I'm currently editing the interviews that will be over on the Christian Harloff channel in a couple of days. So you want to keep an eye out for that as well. So with that, I'm sending y'all love. Go vote. Be safe. I'll see y'all on the next one, man.